Well, President Obama again trying to reassure a jittery public on the war against terror. In a year-end interview with NPR, the president saying ISIS cannot destroy the U.S., but that he understands why people are worried, and that his administration may have fumbled its anti-ISIS communications strategy. But the president also seems to blame the media for stoking fear.
ISIL combines viciousness with very savvy media operations. And as a consequence, if you've been watching television for the last month, all you've been seeing, all you've been hearing about is these guys with masks or black flags who are potentially coming to get you.
In the meantime, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee wants the president to pick up the pace and inject more urgency into the fight against ISIS. California Democrat Adam Schiff.
Well, the broad outlines of what the president wants to do, I think the right ones, it's not going fast enough. The pace is not going fast enough. I think we have to look for something to change the dynamic on the ground. And for me, that would be in the form of a safe zone or a buffer zone or a no-fly zone, something that can end the refugee flows, something that can give a space and time to train up forces to take on ISIS.
Well, for the record, President Obama has opposed a no-fly zone in Syria, saying that it could draw the U.S. into the Syrian conflict even more. Okay, I'm going to go to the journalist with the most Emmys on the couch, which would be Harris Faulkner. Faulkner, it's all your fault, says Obama.
Yeah, it's my fault.
You talk about this too much.
So
you should stop talking about ISIS.
Here's how we were talking about it over the last week, though. We kept talking about it because what did the president do on a Sunday night a couple of weekends ago?
He gave it a try.
Right, the first one of only 3 he's given in the 7 years in office, correct? Okay, and then what did he do next? He went to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And he met with everybody, all the generals. They had a huge meeting. He came out and gave us an update. And then what did he do? He went to the National Counterterrorism Center out in McLean, Virginia. Then he came out and he did the same thing. What does that tell you? He has been trying to soothe the fears of the American public across 3 different huge occasions, capturing our attention. We're covering him talk about the people in the masks and the black flags. But he's not soothing the fear. So now he's going to turn it on us and blame it on us. No, it's back on you. It's your turn.
Is this real? I mean, a communications problem. I mean, it's pretty bad when you're blaming, you know, as the saying says, the people who buy ink by the barrel. But really, I mean, it is such an incredible, unbelievable move for the president to blame the media and then blame the public.
It's more than a communication problem. It's a lack of confidence problem in this president to adequately fight terrorism. And I would even extend it back to his response to the Paris attacks during the summit abroad in Turkey, in which he gave such a very weak response that people actually started to question, foreign leaders started to question him and his ability to really lead the world in this global coalition that he claims he's kind of doing to combat ISIS. You know what, Andrea, this goes to exactly Kat's point. This is a president whose not spoken policy is it's not my fault.
Right.
No accountability, and he has to allocate blame properly. He's very intelligent, actually, how he conducted this during the 2012 campaign. He's kind of like a prosecutor, rather a defense attorney in a jury trial. It's not that I'm innocent, but someone else could be guilty. And that's always the approach he takes. It worked during the political season in 2012. People are not buying it anymore. And Harris, to your exact point, that's why he keeps having to go out and try to quell these fears, because he's never doing it adequately enough.
So, Katie, he lives in this academic fantasy land, this dream world where he believes that his words can sort of part the oceans and heal the masses, or whatever mumbo-jumbo he used during the 2008 campaign. But this time around, when there are Americans dead in San Bernardino and troops we just learned today dead in Afghanistan because of radical Islamic jihadism, he seems completely out of touch. And I think that's scarier than anything.
Well, and the way he talked, they're going to come get you. Like some kind of funny situation when people have been killed as a result of this, when you have entire countries that have been lost to ISIS, when you have Iraq as a failed state now as a result of ISIS. And the president isn't upset because the news media is showing this stuff. He's upset because of the events that have occurred have exposed him as incompetent, have exposed him as a liar when it comes to radical jihad being on the run. We saw this in 2012 with them saying Al-Qaeda is on the run. And it exposes him as not willing to deal deal with the problem. And on one hand, he can't say, oh, well, I didn't watch enough cable news and therefore I wasn't aware of how serious this is and how people are scared about this, and then say that we're covering this too much. And I'm sorry, Mr. President, when Americans are beheaded on video by ISIS and you go off to the golf course, and then when people are killed in Paris and gunned down in San Bernardino, we're going to talk about it whether you like it or not.
Right. I mean, Kat, liberals typically aren't serious people when they talk about foreign policy. I mean, as to Katie's point, they go golfing, they trivialize it, they keep their servers in toilets, you know. They don't take things seriously. And this is a serious threat, and the president's trying to trivialize it. Doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Problem.
Yeah.
Really what he's saying is, oh, it's not my foreign policy, it's the way the media is branding my foreign policy. It's because of that, which is obviously just so ridiculous because, like you're saying, there's actual events that are happening. People actually were just killed in San Bernardino. To say that, oh, you know, it's the media. No, people are afraid because we have something to be afraid of. How about that? No.
Right.
Well, they just devised a whole new terror alert system, so how could it be us?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't tell the president and his team to do that.
With the generals and the Pentagon and everybody else who I do trust on this matter. So he looks completely unserious.
77% of people polled last week, and a very poll we talked about on this couch said that they are not feeling like we are where we should be.
No. And they're right.
In this fight.
They are right. All right, less than 6 weeks from the first presidential caucus and the nation's first primary. Right after that, new numbers on which Republican candidates hold the top spots in those states and how much it matters at this point in the race. And if you thought those fragile flowers that we call college students couldn't be offended by lunch, yes, lunch, food, you are wrong. And why sushi and sandwiches are making some kids need a really big safe space.